is now time for a professional developmental workshop. I want to thank the NJ Council on Developmental Disabilities for their generous supporting sponsorship of this afternoon keynote session. We will get started with the keynote session in just a moment. We will all remain here in a virtual ballroom together. You do not need to go join a breakout session, just sit tight. The idea for the afternoon keynote session came from the advisory board members, who are all elected representatives of each of the 5 New Jersey NJSSAN Council. The board members wanted to take this opportunity to share their experience and expertise of a few current NJSSAN members. To find out which NJSSAN Council you belong to, check out the NJSSAN map in the Air Journal or in the chat box. Please hold your questions until the end of the slideshow when we will have a dedicated time for QA. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy.
This is Sharing Our Skills. The advisory board speaks up. The videos in this training are the thoughts, feelings, and lived experiences from the members of the New Jersey statewide Self-Advocacy Network. Who are these members? They are Kevin with Council 1, Renee from Council 2, Julia from Council 3, Ray from Council 3, Evelyn from Council 3, and Pam from Council 4. We asked New Jersey statewide Self-Advocacy Network members questions, and these are their answers. How do you feel about living with a disability?
It's hard to do it, but you do the best that you can do to be your own self-advocate with disabilities, and try, if you can, work out in the community or in a training center and all that. That's cool, but try to get yourself out of the community and work in the community would be the best if you can. It's a little hard, but I do have a job coach or a person that helps me find a job and learning about the job.
I'm also in the group for autistic parents. Pretty much everyone in the group will say, I have to be myself. I can't not be myself, otherwise I won't have enough energy to be a parent. But if you tell like an autistic parent, if you tell them to mask, it can cause problems. They won't have enough energy to be a parent, or at least a good parent to their kid, because they'll be using all their energy trying to act the way society wants them to act.
What topics are of interest to you?
Still, my concern is the staff making more money. That's important to me. We have good staff people here, and I think that they should be, treated as such. And I just feel like they should be making more than what they're making.
Renee has been an advocate on this subject for many, many years. This is the last hearing that she attended to speak on this subject. Let's take a listen to a portion of her testimony.
I am here today because we need to give direct support professionals a living wage. The work that they do is not minimum wage. Work so they should not be paid minimum wage. We really need your help. Please remember my testimony when making decisions about the 2020-2021 budget. Again, thank you for your times. Okay, that's it.
Great job. Great job. Good job. Way to work through that. Thanks. And thank you for your testimony. And we appreciate you being patient, being with us here today. Thank you. Good job.
DSP wage. You know, it's not easy for the staff, you know, right now, get very little wages. But advocating is, for one thing, is to helping them is the best thing going right now. I feel that the DSP should get a good salary, that they should also, you know, stay in the jobs that they're at now. They should, you know, get more money when the time comes with the budget. And I feel that they should really, you know, get that because they're good people that do good things for other people.
Evelyn has also been testifying on this topic and a variety of other topics for many years. Here's an example of a portion of one of her testimonies and her talking points that she uses when she attends hearings. You can watch some of Evelyn's hearings, the hearings that she has attended on the New Jersey Department of Human Services YouTube or on the New Jersey State Legislature homepage. Let's watch a portion of one of Evelyn's latest virtual hearings.
The 2022 and 2023 budget, we ask that you consider advocating for funding to increase the direct support professionals' DSP wages. I have lived in a supervised apartment above a group home with the ARC of Somerset County since 2000. I get the support I need in my apartment, and staff members stay downstairs with our residents that need one-on-one assistance. My 5 housemates need assistance with bathing, eating, and getting dressed, as well as taking medications. I want to say more about the DSPs due to help me and my housemates every day. They take care of every housemate based on their individual needs. They've always been there for me. My staff pick me up from day program and work. They take me to meetings, bingo, shopping, and bowling. All around, they are there when you need them. Unfortunately, many staff often have to work more than one job to support themselves and their families. It's sad, but I know that they need the money and the benefits. Instead of having to work 2 jobs, I would like them to make a good salary and receive health benefits from one job as a DSP. The staff is there for them and the staff for me every single day. The important work that DSPs do has been magnified by the pandemic. DSPs already did so much for us and are now dealing with the added challenges caused by COVID-19. They deserve to be paid more because they are doing a lot of more work to keep us safe. My staff provide protective equipment for everyone in the house, and they take our temperature twice a day so we can be on top of changes in our health. They have to sanitize and clean a lot more often to ensure that we stay healthy. Due to the amazing efforts and taking the pandemic very seriously, no one in my house has contracted COVID-19.
No one really educated me about the way the system works, why A, B, or C couldn't happen. I also didn't know there were alternatives to guardianship, even though mine is limited. And it was like, and I was also learning how to speak up for myself a little bit more instead of kind of taking it. Even Aaron can say, saying how, like, I've told Aaron, like, I'm kind of afraid to say something because I don't know how this person will react, especially the people, like the assembly people, because some of the ways I had to act in more formal settings as well. But that, a lot of the growth has happened there because I'm learning about it, but I'm also trying to solve the problem.
Julia and also Ray have posted testimony for a few hearings. These are a portion of their testimonies, and we have a virtual hearing that Julia attended that we can watch as well.
Hey, Julia, thank you.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, Acting Commissioner Adelman and the members of the Department of Human Services. Thank you all for the support you've given everyone during this difficult pandemic. My name is Julia Simcoe, and I am a member of Council 3 of the New Jersey Statewide Self-Advocacy Network, NJSSAN. I became a parent in 2021, and I found it very difficult to find resources to support me as a new mother. I am here today to request more services for parents who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, acquired disabilities, and mental health conditions. I urge the Department of Human Services and other applicable departments to collaborate and ensure that healthcare providers, legal system personnel, child welfare agency staff, child care staff, and others who come into contact with parents with disabilities have the training and resources to work with them. I urge you to have as much of the training and resources as possible to come from individuals who have disabilities themselves. There also needs to be an improvement in the application of reasonable accommodations for this vulnerable population. I urge you to implement mechanisms that support integrated, family-centered, strengths-based care for parents with disabilities and their children. Thank you so much for your time.
More training for DSPs. They're not like babysitters. But there's all different levels of disability, and people think that we still don't need help, but we do. Supported decision making.
Pam just mentioned supported decision making. Let's talk about what that is.
Supported decision-making is something that we all use in our own lives all the time. It's the idea of going to people you know, people you trust, going to experts to gather information to help you make a decision. As a concept, supported decision-making can be used as a support structure, it can be used as an alternative to guardianship, or it can be used in conjunction with guardianship. When you call your best friend to talk over some news your doctor gave you to try to figure out what to do next, that's supported decision-making. When you're looking to make a purchase and you're reading the online reviews, that's supported decision-making. When you're looking for a plumber and you go to the Better Business Bureau, then you get some opinions from those plumbers about what's wrong and how they suggest fixing it, that's all supported decision-making. We all use supported decision-making in our own lives. For someone with a disability, supported decision-making can make a huge difference. It's a great way to ensure self-determination. Research shows that individuals who maintain self-determination and who continue to make decisions over their own lives enjoy a better quality of life and a longer life. And frankly, you can start supported decision-making at any time. The younger you start, the better. If you establish supported decision-making as part of that decision-making routine, then you'll always sit down and discuss options together. But as someone is learning to make decisions, it's a good way to teach them how to make decisions. What are the issues and questions we need to consider? Who can they get that information from? And how do we evaluate that information? As they've learned how to make decisions, It's a good way to help keep communication open and talk things over. And frankly, you can be using supported decision making over big things and over small. What do we want to eat? What do we want to wear? But when it comes to those bigger decisions, what type of job do you want to do? What type of medical treatment do you need? Do you understand your healthcare needs? That's where supported decision making can be a huge influence. Now, supported decision making is not substituted decision making. The person makes the decisions themselves. And it's not coerced decision making. It's honoring the individual's decision even if you don't agree with it. We all know people whose decisions we disagree with, but we recognize that it's their decision to make. It's the same for a person with a disability. Supported decision making can be used as an alternative to guardianship, but it can also be used in conjunction with guardianship, so that even if a person is under guardianship, they still have some say in their own lives. Recently, Indiana became the 7th state in the country to formally recognize supported decision making as an alternative to guardianship. You can use the concept of supported decision making with anyone, but with a formal supported decision making agreement, it's putting everything in writing. So it identifies what area a person may need decision making support in. It identifies who is part of the decision making team. It identifies what topics a person may be providing support on. So for example, Aunt Anne may be the person you go to for medical matters because Aunt Anne's a nurse. It also identifies how that decision-making relationship will work, but most importantly, it confirms the individual's exclusive right to make decisions. That's one of the biggest reasons behind supported decision-making agreements. It confirms the individual's exclusive right to make decisions, and it restores the presumption of equality. For example, how often have you taken a person with a disability or even an aging parent to the doctor, and instead of talking to their patient, the doctor talks to the person who came with them? That's why supported decision-making agreements are important, because it restores that presumption of equality and makes sure that people are talking to the individual who actually is the one to make the decision. Supported decision-making agreements can also be adjusted at any time to reflect the individual's needs and wishes and reflect any changes that they may need. So whether we're talking about a formalized written agreement or using supported decision-making as a concept in everyday life, supported decision-making is an important tool to make sure people with disabilities have as much say over their own lives as possible.
Where can supported decision-making be helpful to a person with disabilities?
Doctor's appointments that could really they can really use to help in like specialists and everything, because there's a lot of information you get, and it'll be helpful to have somebody with you. Then you can explain it better after the appointment when you get home. A supported apartment, for instance, you can't have a dog at all. So if you have supported decision making, you have the right to decide where you want to go, what apartment, where you want to live at, and you can have your dog, compared to giving up your rights for a supported apartment and not allowed to have a dog. So I stopped that right as soon as I said, do not allow to have dogs, forget it. We'll find another way.
Do you have any thoughts about guardianship in New Jersey?
I like having other people help me out on my decision and all that, and like what I need to do with that. Because sometimes, because I'm not a good money management person, I'm glad someone can help me with that. And for medical stuff, I'm glad that I have someone that can help me do stuff like that.
Well, my guardianship right now with my aunt and my uncle is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because the fact is, if they didn't come along, the state would have taken me and I would have been somewhere where I wouldn't be happy. I couldn't ask for anything more.
They were pushing people to get guardianship. Like they're pushing when there's other options out there for people, but not every single person needs guardianship. You can get rid of it, but it's really hard. it's a lot of process to get rid of it.
What do you think parents or staff need to know?
I'm very appreciative that my mom had done that. Otherwise, I think they would have put me in a DC, and I would never been happy being in a DC. Because I was like that close to getting in one, as my parents said.
At least don't talk to me as if I was a little child. Because I get that a lot, and I don't like it. I feel like I feel like I am not as an equal. It's like belittling. I feel like the people that do it don't realize they're actually doing it. So it's hard to get them to believe that they're treating me like a child, because that's how they talk to me all the time anyway. And then it's hard to change someone when they're like already set in their mind with that. We have thoughts and feelings too. We need to be heard.
If you have a child that has intellectual developmental disabilities, don't give up on them. Also, make sure you're there for them, no matter what. People with intellectual developmental disabilities can do it, no matter what, to get the diploma.
We had a speaker with a disability come in, and she addressed that some people prefer identity first and some people prefer person first, and she said she was going to use them interchangeably when she talked, which I really liked. But what I really don't like is kind of when I get unsolicited advice or people try to explain things to me that I already understand. Like they don't even ask. They just assume that I'm not understanding what's being said. And it is really frustrating that for them doing it. And sometimes I'll be like, and it's them assuming, oh, Julia, you're not listening to me. Because sometimes I don't take their advice, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm not listening. It's just that maybe I don't agree with something. Or the biggest problem, options. When people want to make a decision about something, they want options. Some of the advice I get from them is very one-sided. Like, I think you should do this, but there aren't any other choices. And I know that, there are other choices people could give, and not explaining why. Like, come on, if you're going to say something, explain why. And it can be really hurtful psychologically. It can cause trust issues, for one. There's not a lot of trust. But earlier on, they'd have meetings and all these people would kind of come and stuff. And I would sit there, I'd sign the paper, you'd have to sign that you're there, but they wouldn't really let me say anything. I remember every so often when we had those meetings, I would say, right here, guys, because they would say, Julia this, Julia that, while I'm there. And I'm like, and I would just thinking like, I'm just like a check mark on a piece of paper. I have to be here. I had to say I'm here. So I'm here, but no one's really talking to me.
Plan. You need to keep planning so you can choose where you want to go and live. Take it one step at a time. Go and make a list of everything that they know how to do, things they don't know how to do, things they need help with. Make a list and then think about it, and then have a meeting at home with the parents and your child with a disability and see if you want to try them out in the apartment by themselves or with a roommate or whatever. And if they can do it, great. If not, then figure something else out, like support apartments or group homes. If you do that now, then if something happens to you, the state won't come in and pick where your child is going to live. Have them go into the IEP meeting, even though they say no, they want the kid in the IEP meeting. Then have the family member advocate it. Yes, I would like my son or daughter be in the IEP meeting, because they're the ones that know what they need help with, what they don't need help with. They need to be involved with even the teachers at the meeting, even the student needs to be involved at the IEP meeting.
What would you like employers to know?
So with people with disabilities are gonna be a real good co-worker who do a real good job and work with them. For the employers and employees, I would like them to focus on more people with disability and what they can do and instead of what they cannot do. So people can get people with disability can get hired more out in the community. Workers that are at a job need to learn more about people with disabilities and see what they can do instead of saying this person can't do that, that person can't do that.
Explain transportation that we use and bring all the employers and employees and have transportation explain what Excellent does, what it's a sale ride system, this is what happens, and like just to have them understand what it is. So that way more people that want to be in come out of work environment, they can.
What barriers have you found when you are involved in important advocacy events?
Stimming. Like I said, stimming is an important tool to help read people. So if I see stims, I might try to ask people in order to better empathize with them. If they do like XYZ stim when they're excited or not, so that I can read the stim, because again, the stims are they're very obvious for neurotypicals, but also for me. And I'll notice them. The friend I was telling you about who she flaps her hands and she's encouraged not to, she can't talk. She's nonverbal. She uses an iPad. So the only other way I know how to empathize with her is when she does that. So when she's actually told to stop doing that, it kind of prevents me from being able to read her. So stimming is also, watching stims can also be extremely helpful when it comes to empathy.
Yeah, with seeing someone stim, it also does help figuring out what they might be feeling, especially with the other things within the environment, the surroundings, noises, colors, lights, whatever. You can figure out what someone might be feeling through what they're doing with their hands or the whole body, even with rocking.
Even if the person didn't agree with me, I would just say, okay, that's fine, because nobody's going to agree to everything you speak up and say about. They need to be taught. They need to be educated, and they need to, be a little more understanding about what it's like, because they don't know. Some people don't know what it's like to have a developmental disability.
What microaggressions have you come across that should be made aware? Let's talk about what microaggressions are first.
You did really well on the skills checkoff today. I was pleasantly surprised.
Since I was a kid, I've always known I've wanted to do this.
Consider a time you've witnessed an interaction that left you feeling uncomfortable because it implied that someone or a group wasn't capable or expected to be successful. This interaction is called a microaggression. Microaggression is a term used to describe remarks or actions that imply negative associations and insults toward an individual or group. These are often directed at members of historically marginalized groups. People are often unaware that the impact of their words and actions can have such harmful consequences. Every microaggression students and staff experience adds to their load. One unintentional comment may seem insignificant, but these comments and experiences can get very heavy.
People don't need to be treated like they're toys where you can just put them away and that's it. You can't treat people like they're not people, because people are people and we're all human. Nobody's perfect, but I don't like being pushed aside like that. And I don't like being spoken to in any kind of way either. If I'm not speaking to you that way, then you need to be on your P's and Q's. But yeah, I felt like that a little bit, but it didn't bother me too much because I felt like in the back of my mind, I handled things in the manner that it should be handled. And I stayed calm. I just remained calm. That's all it is. They just need to be taught that we can do things just like anybody else can do it.
People don't get that we have special things in our lives that have to be met. It makes it harder for me, actually, because there's some things I can do and some things I can't, but I'm trying to challenge with that right now. And, you know, I'm trying to see how I can do things better.
So, how can you help address microaggression when you see it happening? When you notice microaggressions occurring, interrupt the situation. You could 1. Ask questions to get at any underlying assumptions.
Thanks. Why did that surprise you?
2. Acknowledge what happened to the person affected.
I heard that comment and it didn't feel right.
3. Be an active bystander and explain to the person saying or behaving in a harmful way why their actions had a negative impact, even if unintentional.
You did really well on the skills checkoff today. I knew you would.
Addressing microaggression is an ongoing process. You can start right where you are today.
What is the biggest misconception about people with disabilities?
They're very surprised, very, very surprised. That I got an apartment right now, that I'm paying my rent, that I'm going to work, that, you know, I'm basically on my own in my apartment, supervised apartment. And, you know, I didn't know if I was going to get here, you know, this far. You know, it's just, you know, I came a long distance.
TikTok video that someone posted on a Facebook page for autistic people about like how autistic people show empathy, and it was so funny because a few of those things are exactly how I show empathy, which neither were non-conventional. It was a girl saying, "Let me tell you something cool about sharks." So I might if someone looks upset, I might say to them, "Hey, did you know?" Let's give them a fun fact to try to cheer them up. Like, hey, did you know that that octopi have 8 hearts? Or I think it's 8. I don't know that one for sure, but like it's just a really fun fact. Or sometimes just tell a joke. Because at least that makes the person laugh, and people tend to feel better when they're laughing. And then the third one that the person had, this was actually a sad one. She in the video there was one with her having a blank face and they had the cricket sound, And that's the
Mhm.
least favorite one, because that's when you don't know, you absolutely don't know what to do. And there are times when I don't think the other two are going to work. So when
Right.
people show empathy, sometimes they might say what they like, because or like me, especially, I might say what I like, and it's not my attempt to like, basically say, ignore what you don't like. It just seems like something fun, and that's actually how I meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of people that way, asking them, like, saying things that I like, and having people look at this, probably wondering, who the heck is this girl? I have a friend who I met a retreat once, and I was actually nervous in this case because we were late for the retreat, our group. And it was a club that's in several colleges. I was with Mercer County Community College. She was with Ryder. And they were on their beds kind of reading. And I got in, I remember being terrified. And so I started just being funny. And I was like, let's see, hi, I'm Julia. This is how I like to introduce myself back then anyway. Hi, I'm Julia, and I like warm hugs. Or sometimes, hi, I'm Julia. And then something about being a chocoholic. I can't remember what it was. And one girl I noticed, after looking carefully, she actually put down her book and looked at me and showed some interest, like, this looks like an interesting girl. We're friends to this day. She didn't make assumptions either. One time she said, I thought autistic people didn't like hugs. Why do you like hugs? So to her, I said, I don't like surprise hugs. If there's a hug, if someone gives me a hug and I don't want it or I don't expect it, I will tense up, kind of like you see in movies and stuff. But if I know it's coming, if someone asks, or if I ask them, that's kind of when it is. And then I said to her, when you see me run up to people and hug them, notice that I'm running up and hugging them, not the other way around.
They don't understand all different types of disability. You can have somebody in your family help you, and then you can go do it on your own. Go on vacation, go on a cruise. People with disabilities can do everything that people without disabilities can do. We might need more help, might need more training, might need guidance, but we can do everything that people without disability can do.
What issues with transportation have you experienced?
I'm interested in transportation as well, because I feel that, it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy, because I have 4 housemates that rely on transportation from us, and they do not take Access Link, and it's becoming an issue. The issue is that I go farther than they do to go to the day program, and they only go 10 minutes away from my house, and they need transportation to just get there. But myself is a little distant wise, and it's very, very, hard to say this, but it's very not good, because I can't get to things that I gotta get to, you know what I'm saying? We don't have enough staff for the rest of the transportation route. Yeah. It impacts my life because I have to get up really early in the morning and go one of my housemates at 8 o'clock in the morning before I even get to my day program at 9. And then, it's like rushing around, It's not like me getting ready and take my time and I'm at the door, It's time consuming, and it's, a hassle in the morning. But my ideal situation is if I can get to where I gotta get to, like my program and my work without any problems, that's fine. But having somebody else in the car with me, I can't do those things anymore. It depends on your schedule and my schedule, and it's just it's not balanced. They're trying to be flexible too with both all of us, the staff. But the thing of it is that it's very hard with only one staff on picking up by consumers, you know, and it's a struggle.
People with disability use access link to go to work or go places or do whatever. But you tell them what time, but they could give you a different time. And then they could be late or early. It's like the add-ons is the worst part. The drivers really mess them up with the regular run. Add these people onto the route because people call out on different things. And then they go past your job and drop them off and then come back and drop you off. And you can't help it if you're late. Even if you said it ahead of time when you go in for an interview, and I said it every time I go in an interview, every time.
Of course, you know the access link, okay? They were always they had this 20-minute window supposedly, okay? And this was back like in the 90s. That's when I first started taking them because I had an outside job and I was really afraid of being late.
What are your thoughts on relationships and or marriage for people with disabilities?
I feel that they should be treated more fairly about that, because if you're in love with that person and you want to be and they want to be with that person, I think that they should be allowed to marry that person that they're in love with. That's how I truly feel. That because that's their right to get married. It's their choice to get married. It doesn't fit at all. There shouldn't be a penalty for people like that. There shouldn't.
Because if they want to marry, that is their choice. I mean, to be happy and have a very good life, two people should come together and like put the money together, you know what I'm saying? As a family should be, you know?
How has the world changed since you've become a self-advocate?
Well, I think for one thing, it's changed a little bit for the better as a self-advocate, because people seem to show us a little more respect and they realize that we're just people like they are. And I know there are still going to be people that are going to use the R word, but I feel like because of us handing out flyers and pledges for people not to use the R word, I feel like it's gotten a little better because people don't use it as much and they're more careful about the words, the choice of the words they're using. That's the way I feel. I feel it has gotten a little better because people respect us more. They care about being more careful about using words like that.
For me, I learned how to speak up for myself because when I was younger, I wasn't speaking up for myself, but now I am.
I think they're more open than what it used to be right now because, you know, everything is falling in place because of us advocating. You know, all the advocates coming together and putting ourselves together and making the better world for what it is.
What advice can you give to younger people with intellectual and developmental disabilities who want to become advocates?
To be a self-advocate, they need to learn how to speak out for themselves and for other self-advocates. And don't be shy about it. To learn how to be more outspoken.
The advisors got me started, a local advisor, and then I worked my way up to the state level. It's not easy, but advocating for other people and yourself is the best way to do things to help other people down the road, because if you don't express yourself, it makes it very hard for that other person to understand you and to get the point that you are getting across. Well, I would tell you, first of all, if you want to live on your own, it's not a bad idea. I mean, at all. But, you got to realize that taking care of yourself is the main thing. And making sure you have a stable job, pay your rent, pay everything you got to pay for your apartment, and just be happy, and as well as enjoy your life.
That you have a voice. Even if you use a computer, if you're non-verbal, you still have a voice. Use whatever system you have, like cell phone, texting, or communicate that way. You all have a strong voice to advocate for every single person, even yourself. Even your family can help you advocate for things. That you have a voice. You can vote. You can advocate for getting accessible polling places, even communication devices. Even if you're in work and need help with something, you need adaptive equipment. You have the right to ask that and stand up for that kind of thing. And if you still don't get that well, talk to your parents, talk to your work coordinator, talk to whoever can help you with that kind of things.
My advice would be if they want to become a self-advocate, we would be willing to work together with that person or those persons. My advice would be, we're going to just take our time. We're going to go through this very slowly, and we're going to, let you think about it and let you make the decision if you want to be in self-advocacy or if you don't want to be a self-advocate. You don't have to, but it would be great if you wanted to be a self-advocate, and we could train you how to speak up for yourself and speak assertively when things aren't going well.
What do you think everyone should know or learn to practice self-advocacy?
But I think the training would be the most important part. Learning about conduct, how the meetings are run, how we do things at the meetings, what and following the rules, and that kind of thing.
It made me a strong person, and to realize other people need things that they do need in life, not just myself, but they need to be heard. They need things to be addressed around the state, and also they need to understand our rights and advocacy.
For politics wise, I try to stay away from that stuff, but for self-advocacy, I will speak up for it.
They might need accommodations. Like, for instance, if you go to the hotel, they might need a accessible room, or they might need a refrigerator for the medicine, or they might need help going to the room, like showing them where the room's at, and this is the elevator, this is where you go. And if you still don't know, ask somebody.
Do you have any final thoughts?
just keep in mind to keep yourself active in your community, be active in your self-advocacy, and even though you have disability, you can always be part of whatever you want. Doesn't matter what it is, but you can do whatever you want to do. Don't give up. Just keep doing what you need to do.
Everyone has behaviors. Ashley, Aaron, you have behaviors. You need to accept us because we're not going anywhere. Whether you like it or not, we're staying. And maybe some of us will need more help, but that's not more help than others. Some people might need 24-hour care. That's not a bad thing. You need to get over yourselves.
I feel like it would be better if people were more accepting and to be treated as equals instead of being talked down to, or even talk behind our backs kind of thing. Even with like a DSP, it's like trying to get info from a DSP is not going to be the same as getting it directly from the person.
We all have to share that responsibility. We do. And we have to listen to everyone, not just certain people, but everyone that is there to testify. We have to listen to each and every person there. And that included listening to what I had to say as well as other people, because I listened to what everybody there had to say. Really does work. You know, most of us, we know how to be assertive. We know how to be calm. And I like it when people talk about, other people talk about their issues, because we all been through challenges and we've overcome a lot of challenges as well. And it certainly helped us to come together, because now we all work together as a team. We're a family now. I just see good in all people. I just feel like everybody to me is like family, regardless. I don't have anything against anybody. I really don't. And none of us have anything against each other. And that's great. I think it's wonderful when we can all work together. We can all smile and we can all trust each other and trust one another and help one another and look out for others.
And what people want to know is that there's nothing wrong with them having autism. They were born with it. Well, and me too. There's nothing wrong with it. I was born with autism. Even if I wasn't diagnosed early enough, it doesn't mean I wasn't born with it. It was always there. It didn't manifest the way it did for a while, and whatever. There are some theories behind that as well. But it was always there. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different way of seeing the world and a different way of living. And I'm not suffering. I'm perfectly fine. I kind of like thinking differently, allows me to see things in a different way. So if you ignore the fact that someone has autism, that I think what you're kind of dismissing, I think it's a part of the person. It's a part of who they are.
The topics that were talked about in this training, some of them apply to the goals and priorities that the New Jersey statewide self-advocacy network has. If you would like more information on those goals and priorities of the New Jersey statewide self-advocacy network, you can click the link that we just put in the chat box, or you can visit our website. These are all of the resources we have for our program. Our website is the top link. The other links are links to our webinars, our social media, our HLP Live program, our email list registration, and our newsletter sign up. Or you can reach us directly through email, phone, or on our social media. We would also just like to issue a big thank you to the members who made this keynote possible.